I remember during that time how people were carrying me. They were holding me on my hand and moving
You
with me.
couldn't see at all. Like you
I
were
couldn't,
complete.
especially at night. I couldn't see. I
You
couldn't
couldn't see
read.
at all. Wow. So one of the reasons why I invited you here, apart from the fact that you are a pretty stand-up guy, is because to some extent we are in a similar situation with regards to being an African parent in Norway, parenting a child with special needs. Hello there again, and welcome to another episode of Africans Abroad, the podcast. This is your host, Christopher Eves Ricks. Today, I have with me a very interesting guy to hang out with, very outspoken, has a lot to say, and very interesting things to say. So I'm excited today to be able to talk to the next African Abroad on the Africans Abroad podcast, Mr. Simon Makuka. Is that right? Is it Makuka?
That's correct.
Yeah,
Simon
good.
Mukupa.
Welcome to Africans Abroad, Simon.
Thank you very much. I'm happy for being invited.
Yeah, listen, man, thanks for being here. I just gave you a call after we haven't talked for so long, and you were just like, sure, I'm on board. So I appreciate that. I really do.
Pleasure
Yeah,
is mine. I was honored to be invited to take part.
that's really good to hear. So Simon, without wasting any more time, would you introduce yourself to our audience? Let them know who you are, where you're from, and what you do, even where you live.
Yes, my name is Simon, but as I'm coming from the Democratic Republic of Congo, so we speak French, so that is called Simon, Simon Mukupa. And I've been here in Norway for the past 17 years. And I'm a clinical pharmacist, and I work as a pharmacist manager. Yes.
Right. Did you come directly from the Congo? From Congo?
No, no, no,
No.
no. I don't come direct from Congo. In fact, I uh, I resided before that to Eastern Cape in South Africa. It's where I did my high school and the part of university. I attended University of Forte, where Mandela or Robert Mugabe also studied.
Wow. Okay. We have a famous one online. That's good. Simon, do you recall any specific moment before we move on to Norway? Because we're going to spend a lot of time talking about life in Norway, life abroad. But do you recall any specific moments or event or something substantial that happened in your life before relocating to Norway? Is there any moment that stands out that you'd like to share with us? I know there are lots of, for those of us that grew up in Africa, there's so many things, but anything that comes to mind?
Yeah. If there is any specific moment that comes into my mind, it was my life in the Democratic Republic of Congo. And I'm coming from the second town of Congo, which is called Bumbashi. It's in the southern part of Congo, where you do have, it's called the Cobalt City. It's where you do have cobalt, or not far from where you do have also uranium that was used for the bomb that was sent to Japan.
Wow.
And from there, I studied electricity. and that was my passion to be an engineer.
Really?
Yes. But things did not go that well because in 97 we did have a regime change, and I remember around that year, I think 98, sadly I was sick, and I was sick with my eyes. It means that I could not see.
Oh,
And because of that, and I went to the hospital. And when I get there, they tell me, "No, what? You're not returning home. You are going to be here in the hospital. What is the problem? No, you do have a retina detachment." And that was like, wow, what shall we do? And by that time in Lubumbashi, they were sending people to Belgium to do the operation. But I was like, long back on the list, like 500 people before me were supposed to send. In that case, then my schooling was stopped, and my family ought to gather some money and help to be sent to South Africa, where I did my operation. And I was operated both sides, and by the grace of God, I'm able to see today. So that is one I remember. I remember during that time how people were carrying me. They were holding me on my hand and moving
you
with me.
couldn't see at all. Like you
I
were
couldn't,
complete.
especially at night. I couldn't see. I
You
couldn't
couldn't see
read.
at. Wow, wow. And that was what took you to South Africa.
Yes, that is because I do have a uncle who is a medical doctor in South Africa, and he's the one that invited me so that I can do the operation. I did 4 operations. Two were successful on my left eye, but on my right eye it wasn't. It wasn't successful. So I do have a reduced visibility on my right eye.
Oh man.
But that journey was a journey that changed or transformed my life.
Wow. That definitely stands out. Thanks for sharing that, man. Thanks for sharing that. So move on to Norway. You moved to Norway in 2005.
Yes.
What was your first impressions of Norway? He laughs.
My first impression, it was my first time in my life to sleep outside.
Ooh,
Yes,
how come?
because there was a person who was supposed to accommodate me or welcome me in the city of Oslo. And when I arrived at the train station, I called his phone and it was not operating. And I did not know anyone. And the only person whom I have the number was that person. But I don't know, he closed his phone. And being there, I remember it was like a kebab shop around Brugata. It's where I was there until they closed. And that's the first time I realized that also the train station was not operational 24 hours. Like around 3 o'clock, and you see security that are coming and chasing people out. And that was my experience of Norway.
Okay, that this is already starting off dramatic. You know? Wow. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. So
that
we went to the same school a couple of years ago. I studied engineering at the time, and you studied pharmacy, or
you know.
what's it called? To be a pharmacist, I would
Mm.
say. What prompted that interest in you? You said you wanted to be you at first. You wanted to be an engineer, and then you came to Norway and went in that field.
Yeah, I think I wanted to be an engineer when I wasn't in Congo, but when I had a problem in my eyes, so I stayed with my uncle who was a medical doctor. In fact, maybe, and I was supposed to get my matric, so I went to a boarding school in South Africa, and it's when I was introduced to like biology and stuff like that, and it's where I had the interest into the medical field. But the reason why I've chosen pharmacy because I was wondering all my life in the sense that with the traditional medicine, it's like if you don't have the blood, then you're supposed to drink avocado leaves because it's red. And I've never understood why my head is spinning, but I'm taking a medicine which is going down. So that was like that was like okay. I wanted to understand more about the African traditional medicine and to understand how things work. And that is the thing that's really sets me to do pharmacy. I remember I applied for medicine. I got medicine in Tromso. But I realized that I don't like blood, so I need to do something,
Okay.
something like in that field, but not close to the suffering of the patient.
I get that. Wow. But have you reached to the point where you see the correlation between Western medicine and African herbal traditional medicine?
Yeah, I think that I think that's I think I'm going to be. I do believe personally that in Africa we do have a lot of solution for sickness that are appearing in the West, and we do have a lot. The things like there are things which are not searched properly when it comes to medicine or drugs. But also, there are also things where you see the high level of placebo. I'm just going to give an example. For my country, like when, for example, you go to India, you are going to see that you can buy a drug with 10% acting stuff, and you can buy the same product with 0% of acting, and it's different price. But those products are being used in the continent of Africa, and the people are getting healed. So then the question will be: are they why? What make them to be better? Is it the medicine, just a placebo? Then I realize the power of placebo. When one believes that okay, this one work, the body has its way of functioning, of believing.
Yeah.
And this has been proven all over the world, because if you're going to buy a treatment for thousands of dollars, even if there is nothing, because you use your money, then you're going to feel better, not because of the medicine is working, just because of the amount of money that you've used.
Now that's interesting.
But I do believe that into our forest, we do have a drug discovery scandals into the African forest. So when things are going to be available, when you look even the history, we do have ethnic people in Congo, what we call the pygmy. They live for many years. And when you look at the way the medication which they take, then you find that there are other things where it's placebo, but there are other things that you realize that, okay, here they know what they're doing.
That's okay. We could have an entire podcast on on just that.
And if I'm just going to touch, maybe there's something like we know that poisoning in Africa, it's going high because of jealousy and stuff like that. But if You realize because here in the West, you can never treat a person without knowing the elements which was given to the patient. So in order to detoxify a person, you need to know what kind of substance the person have taken. But in the Congo, when or in Africa, when people are treating poisoning, they don't need to know. And that's quite advanced.
Wow. Staying a bit on the your career, I understand that you did or you still lead a pharmacy. I'm just curious, how is that? How has that experience been for you?
Yeah, it was a great experience because what happened is like when we were in Oslo, it's the same university where we studied together. So I did my bachelor and I worked for some years as a pharmacist, and then I applied at Antonu here in Trondheim, where I was given the chance to do my master degree in clinical pharmacy. And when I finished, in fact, I was supposed to do my PhD. Then the supervisor who was above me moved to Sweden. He wanted me to move to Sweden, but by that time, then I was offered a pharmacy for me to manage. And it for me, it's great in the sense that I've come to realize that it's much easier. It's much easier to lead or to control money than to lead people. So the experience is like the relationship, how you relate to people, how you understand people, and how you motivate people, how you want to make people to be the best of themselves. As one thing that I've learned into the leadership is like you can't require a result unless you make those who are going to make the results to feel like they are in heaven. So that has been that is something that have changed and marked my life as a manager.
I have because I went to school with you guys. I know at least three. We have two mutual friends, maybe four. That has managed or manages a pharmacy, and I've heard a couple of things about that. Is what would I say? Has it been your experience that you've had to, as maybe as an African or a black person in a leadership position, that you've had to prove yourself to be able to gain some amount of respect, or maybe is there any kind of experience with that sort of thing?
Yes, the thing is like I will say that generally, I think in terms of the African manager for pharmacy in Norway, I think that our promotion it's one of the first promotion because I don't know other people who have done that. Maybe if you are going to see, you're going to see maybe one guy, and but for me, it was great to know that you do have also other colleagues with the same background. But if one is going to look, we are going to see that um, we work under our uh, what am I supposed to say? Our knowledge. If you see the same people, or if you see the people whom we studied together, whom we get the same degree, and to see where they are in regards to us, you just feel like for us, so you need to prove yourself. You need to show results. Even when you show result, so you are appreciated, but you are not that appreciated. And I think that this is the thing that we knew from school, that you know what, you need to do more in order for you to be accepted. But the place where you're accepted is not the place where the other people are. And the thing is like not only, I think also the people are not used to see like leader who are black. And I remember one day, this is my experience in the pharmacy. In fact, I was talking to one customer and explaining why I was supposed to give a product which was a generic product. And I've explained and he understood. When it comes the time to pay, I say, can you pay? He said, you know what? Can I speak to your manager? Then I went to my office and I come back to him and say, hi, I'm Simon, I'm the manager. How can I help you? And he left.
He
So
left.
yeah, so the thing is like you see even people and people are not used to see. I remember when I was working at Diakon CQ's, Diakon Hospital. I arrived one day and it was my first time, and I was like, you know what, you can take your uniform, you're going to clean the floor. Did you get it? So when they see, they thought that I was there to clean the floor. And those are the people who work in the pharmacy. Yeah. So the things like it is like people are not used to see to see. But what I've realized that in big cities, yeah, you see that, but in small town, you see that because of um, what am I supposed medicine student. So in small places where they're not African, when they see an African there, it's like, okay, it means that the person here is a doctor, a dentist, or but in big cities where you see that, okay, you see, okay, there is a problem. You need to prove more. And people are not willing to accept. So that's what that's how I feel. And I realize that even if you look at, because if you look at some of the pharmacy who are doing very, very, very good, they don't put like not only African, but people
Foreigners.
from
Yeah.
foreigners. But you see that you're going to a pharmacy, but you're going to see that maybe it's a pharmacy which has got its own problem. Maybe people are sick, maybe there's conflicts, maybe, but we see that we try to solve, but and I think that is not fair to be compared to, you get to a place where, like, we take, for instance, a place like Oslo, where the town is divided between west and east. And you see that the east, and yet they are requiring for you to have the same result in terms of the economy, and that by itself. So you see that other people who have the chance to get like good pharmacy. When I talk about good pharmacy, I'm talking about the place where people can, yeah, where the budget it's easily reached without any shortage, just going by itself. And from those places, you don't see a lot of foreigners. But now I think that things are changing. Now I see that yeah, things are changing, and people are showing that people are capable.
Wow. That's, yeah. Like I said, I kind of heard about that before from our some of our mutual friends, and some of the stories actually really surprised me. But what you said that even surprised me the most is you even would find you have better treatment in smaller places than in the bigger cities. I wouldn't have thought that at all.
Yeah, because the thing is, like, when you go to small places and you do speak the language, so because in small places where they send medical students.
So one of the reasons why I invited you here, apart from the fact that you are a pretty stand-up guy, is because to some extent we are in a similar situation with regards to being an African parent in Norway, parenting a child with special needs. So with respect to that, I just wanted to be able to talk to you around this issue. But would you start first with telling us a little bit about your family?
Yeah. Now our just thing is going to be 17 years where we've been together with my wife.
Mm.
And
Congratulations, that's
thank
huge.
you. And it's going to be in July. July, you are going to be 17, and it's going to remain 3 years for us to be together for 20 years. And we were blessed in 2013. My wife was pregnant with twins. And as this was her first pregnancy, around week 22, and she went for a checkup, and there was they found out that she had an opening, and because of the weight of two babies into her stomach, and then she was hospitalized just to make sure that maybe the opening is going to close and stuff like that. But that wasn't the case. She was hospitalized for 3 weeks, and then she was supposed to give birth, and the babies the pregnancy was 23 weeks. Need just to remind that the full pregnancy is 40 weeks. And when our twins were born, the weight that Meshach had, it was 750 grams. And Shadrach was also, the other twin was 790 grams. And we were at Rick's Hospital, and then we spent there like 2 weeks into the intensive avdelingen. And we were there, and after 4 weeks, we lost Shadrach. Shadrach did not make it, and then we were discharged from the hospital. And after spending almost like 3 months at the hospital, coming home, everything was okay, and things were okay. About 3 months when we discharged, then Meshach had a high fever, and he was shaking, and we took him back to the hospital, and for the first time, then he was diagnosed with epilepsy. And then we started treatment, and being diagnosed with epilepsy, then they were supposed to scan, because when you do have a child who is born extremely premature, so one of the things that they do, they scan the head, because just to see if there is any blood that have gone out, and those blood can cause like other things, because it's going to depend on the effects on those veins on the neuron or the brain. So many times you see that if there is a huge impact, then the person has got paralysis, then the person like incontinence, the stomach is not working and stuff like that, based on where the blood is going to come out. And because of the epilepsy, then he was supposed to they scanned the head, and they found out that he did not have a white substance. A white substance is like an isolation which is around the brain, and on the left side did not have that substance. And then we were informed that they don't know, because when it comes to paralysis, they cannot say anything until the child is 3. So we knew that our child had epilepsy, and they could not give the classification on paralysis. And then from that time, we understood that our life, and that is like how how it's going to be in the school, how we're supposed to move, how we're going to stay. So one was supposed to think about all those. And I remember we were offered like therapy at the hospital. So that's because in accordance to statistic, it shows that um, it is about 83% of divorce with people having
Children with
childhood.
special needs. Yeah.
Yes. And yep. So in short, so that's yeah. And from there, so and I thank God that uh, we had a chance of having a child with special needs in a country like Norway, because I could just imagine if it was other places how things were supposed to be. And with the treatment, and for me it was difficult for me because I had my knowledge about medication and the seeing and discussing with doctors like not this medicine but not this one, not this. And it was very like charging on me because you have studied like the side effect of things, and you have studied epilepsy, and you never realize that you are going to be treating your child. So for the first 9 months, my child went to the whole spectrum, ketogen diet, like where they treat people with epilepsy with fasting. And because for many years it was realized, and that was even before in the Old Testament, people were suffering of epilepsy, they were deprived from food. And when they don't have food, so the neuron don't get glucose, and they get ketones, and some of the epilepsy people get much better without food or when people are in ketosis. And so all that we went through. And with epilepsy, the way that they treat epilepsy in Norway, if they are going to give medication, if you are not going to respond to more than 6 anti-epileptica, then they call that epilepsy as resistant epilepsy. Then there is nothing to do with that one.
No
So,
medic, which means it cannot be treated at all.
yeah, the thing, then I realized, and sometimes when I look back, I realize where I had to study first electricity and then going back, because if one can say epilepsy just like a circuit that is not operating electrically, then things just burn out. So that how it is. And there are many reasons where things are not going to, the electricity is not going to pass through. There are many reasons. Sometimes the isolation is not on its place. And if there is anything that maybe one was supposed to put like artificial isolation, and sometimes it's like, yeah, the connection are not good. And if there's anything that can be done. And for my son, it's like, because he was born extremely premature, he did not have the chance to have that white substance, that isolation, and therefore he is having epilepsy.
Wow. I must say, even though I mentioned in the beginning that we kind of have, in a similar situation, it's very different for me, because yes, my son has a diagnosis of has been diagnosed with autism, but he's never been put through all the trouble medically of taking being on medicines or different kind of medications and whatnot. It's more of a behavioral thing with him, or cognate what's it called, speech disabilities and such things. So I just want to make it clear that it cannot even be. I cannot even try to imagine what you and and Elizabeth went through, especially starting off so early. When you, I know the feeling of, especially when it's supposed to be your first, the joy and excitement and everything you think about is positive. It's gonna be, all good. And when that doesn't happen, I can't imagine. I never got to experience that because from birth you cannot tell if a child is autistic or not. But you guys got to experience that from that early stage, and even lost a child. It sounds really really tough.
No,
Yeah.
it was a painful start because then the wife is pregnant. We're like, okay, we need to move. Then we bought a house where we are going to accommodate because the family is going to expand. And then 22 weeks, then everything changed. Then the things that was most painful, and I thank God for His grace upon our life. It was like you do have two babies into the intensive department where one is not making and the other one is making. So it's like, are you going to mourn the one who is not making? Are you going to be for the one that, yeah, is there? And that experience is, yeah, uh, it's one of the experience when I look back and, yeah, word cannot express that. Word cannot express, and yeah.
Wow.
Mm.
Speak to us on the upside, because at least I know also from my experiences that there are challenges, but that as a believer myself, as a man of faith, I always believe in this. Things happen for a reason, and there is always some sort of balance, even if we do not see it in this lifetime. I'm able to. One of the things that really helped me in this situation is looking at it as he came to us for a reason. Me and my his mother, we are not together anymore. She's my ex. However, she is an amazing mother. We co-parent really wonderfully, and I always make sure, no matter what, to tell her that he couldn't have come to a better mom. She is very very into his life, and she helps me a lot to be able to handle this the situation. And so whatever we're going through, that, but there's just this balance of joy that even if it's just for the 5 minutes of the smile or the laughter, or he has a little sister that's 4 years old. Watch their relationship together play and stuff, even though he won't be able to communicate well with her. That's just this outburst of joy that just everything else makes everything else so minimal, so little compared to that. Would you? What's your experience with that?
Yeah, I do have an experience in the sense like when our boys were born, the weight was 750. Then I could look at the thigh and my finger here, it was the same size. And what really began to, like, I feel like I'm seeing things with a different perspective because when my child is like 5 kgs, people see 5 kgs, but for me, I do have a reference of 750 grams. And basic things that people don't think about it. Like when you do have a child who is born like that. And I remember there was one night where we were waiting. It was the first time where they took like milk, and it was like drops. And we were waiting if that milk is going to pass through the intestine. And when they have like they were having like their feces and stuff like that. It was a joy for us. It was a joy, like things are passing through. Whereas for other person, that is normal. Like when the child is crying and what like for us, like the smallest thing were bigger to us, where people were considering like, okay, what big deal here? But for us, it was very big. And one thing that I after I've realized, and I look into my family, and I look at my wife family, and I look at my surrounding, I just ask who could be able to take good care of a child with this need. I don't see any other who could do a good job than I and my wife. And as I said, I was in Oslo, but when you do have a child with epilepsy, when I was doing my clinical pharmacy, my master degree, I researched into epilepsy. So, and now like when I'm in the pharmacy, I do have like compassion. I have knowledge on this topic because not only I'm reading it, but I'm living with it. And after that, I enrolled myself again into another master degree, studying the brain, neuroscience, and understanding how the brain function. And for me, today I'm going to say that, okay, we have done a lot of things, medically speaking, but when it comes to the brain, we are not even 10% understanding how the human brain works. So looking into my family and the thing is like, what am I supposed to say? The moment where you feel like, okay, it's a problem, it's a sickness, and it's maybe forces one to hide, one not to be, because the thing is like, even when people come to you, so there's more interest on the child, and you don't want to go and visit where all the time that you visit and people talk only about your child. And you don't want also people to ignore. And my child is sitting in a wheelchair, and the things like, people don't know what to do. They don't know what to say. And I understand but for us as African, then it's becoming difficult because the thing is like, um, I am a person who believe, and many a time it's like, if there is anything that you need to know why it is like that. So it means that if you do have a child with special need, if you have lost your child, what did you do? What did you do wrong? What did your parents did? And this is a generational curse and stuff like that. And as long as the person is in there, then the person is in a prison. Whereas people now do not understand that this is just such a blessing. It's such a blessing when the person shift the focus. I am an expert in epilepsy today because of my child. Because all the people in Oslo where I was studying with them, they will tell you that if I was supposed to do my master, I was supposed to do into the drug like formation, Galanis pharmacy. But for me today to find in clinical pharmacy, it's just because of my child. And when I look, then we ought to think twice now. Which house are we going to stay in? Which car are we going to buy? And so all the things, like all the things we think now about how the thing's going to be. And I remember the first 3 years, it was very hard because as long as the child does not have a diagnosis, so you cannot get help. And then it was therapy, and the child could not sleep during the night, but sleeping during the day because of epilepsy. Then my wife was supposed to be awakened and be with the child maybe from evening until 12, and then from 12 I was supposed to stay with the child until in the morning, and in the morning when the child go to school and we go to work. So that, and whenever you talk to people, it's like, but you guys, we do understand you guys have got a child special need, but you do have only one. What about us that have got four?
Yeah.
So in the case that people don't understand, and especially our African family, and people like, okay, what did you do?
Yeah.
Why? And oh, sorry. Just like there is nothing sorry about.
No.
There's nothing sorry about. And many a time, because my child has got a problem also with the lungs, because when you have a premature child, the lungs are not developed as they. So many a time you see, like, you do have oxygen into the house, where during the winter you're supposed to give oxygen, and it's like when we go to the hospital to the intensive, it's only at the intensive department where it can be, because the moment where we are at the normal department of hospital, so that department, it's lesser than our house, because our house we do have oxygen, we do have everything, we do. So you see that the increase in the knowledge about that symptom and how to take care about that child. But many a time you hear in the family, oh, what happened? And especially as African, whenever a person loses like the child, because of this thing about offering spirituality you have given, and you do have a child who is not like other child, you have taken his intelligence for you to have money, for you to make it, and so all those things make again it to be difficult to interact with people, and to be difficult even for people to visit. And then people are going to see, okay, if you have make it, it's because of that.
Yeah.
And what is it like? What have you done? Like, which sect are you in? Like, why is it like that? And but I remember one of the things that really motivates me. It's when they took the blind person to Jesus, and they asked Jesus, like, this man was blind from his birth, and who did wrong?
Yeah.
And what happened? Is the mother, or is the father, or is some? So with that, and that's what you found into our community, and it's becoming difficult.
Yeah.
It's
I
becoming difficult to interact. It's becoming difficult because people cannot come and talk to you. And sometimes also you feel like, I mean, we were in Oslo, we were part of a big church and stuff like that. And sometimes you feel like there is also hypocrisy, because many people can talk about, abort is not good, okay? They talk about it, but when a person has got a child with special need, then it's like, okay, be there. So it's like, okay, you go and eat, But when you get full, no, we don't want you. And people can talk and people can do whatever, but just to come home and has to spend with to just speak for 2 hours. It's a lot. Many a time, like one does not sleep and want only 2 hours. Just 2 hours just for me to relax and sleep, and you don't get it. Mm.
I think that is so important that you put some emphasis on that because there's there's this unspoken at, that's my experience too, that there's this unspoken thing in within our African communities about such cases of, the child is not like others,
Yeah.
so maybe something was went wrong. You did something during pregnant. The mother did something wrong during pregnancy, or so many other issues. And then you also have the fact that when the upon seeing the child and all of that, we are so silent. Like everybody's because of this notion that we have, everybody's so silent about it. Like you're afraid to speak about it. Like I know that in my situation, I've seen several cases where I believe that, like you said, when the child is diagnosed, that's when you are able to get a certain amount of help, substantial
Mm.
amount of help.
Mm.
And you have cases where people don't even know how to go about in getting the child diagnosed. And I just feel like if we're talking about these things, if we're free enough to be able to discuss, hey, I see the situation. It's kind of similar to what I've experienced. Have you thought about this and this and that? Without getting some backlash and no, my child is, you know, yes,
Mm.
I'm not saying the child is not fine or okay, but there's something noticeable that I have experience with that I can share with you. We all know that in this country, information is very, very, very scarce. If
Mm.
you do, you can lose out on a lot if you do not do your research. You do
Yeah.
not like really, and you don't know whose fault it is, because the fact is that if within the system don't have that experience, they hardly know how to help you to go, you know. So I just think that it was really nice that you brought that up, because it needs to be talked about. I have some experience. You have some experience.
Mm.
Other parents, other African parents with the same experiencing the same thing that have experience, to be able to talk about these things, to be able to be let it's okay if you have questions, ask about my child,
Mm.
and be respectful about it. But just if you're curious, ask. Even though sometimes I would say that sometimes as the parents, we get really tired of explaining over and over. You
Yeah.
know, so it's yeah. But really, man, that was really nice. I would say though, what if you were to give an advice to an African that's going through the same situation, or maybe yet to experience God forbid, yet to experience some situation, of the child being special, having special needs. What would you say to that parent or soon to be parent?
What what I'll say is this: it just like the first thing, don't hide your child. Don't hide your child. Don't, because sometimes one can be proud of himself. Because the thing is like, the question is like, what have you done for you to have that? So as long as you see the child as a curse, if I'm going to put a curse, like what went wrong, and I've seen people with children with special needs who have gone from prophet to prophet, from prayer to prayer, from water, oiling, fasting, all that. The thing is like, God is God, even if I am sick. My healing does not determine who God is.
No.
And that's the reason when my wife was pregnant, we named the kids Meshach and Shadrach. And back in the history on the Bible, when they were forced to put in the fire, and they say that we know that our God is going to save us.
And
But
even if he doesn't, even if
that
he
I think that
doesn't, yeah.
that's it where many of us, like people with African background, it were, even if we just stop, my God is going to save us. But what if he does not save us? God is still God regardless of my situation. God still God regardless of my sickness. It is not my sickness that is going to make God when he healed me. No, God is still God with me being healed or not being healed. Because the definition of healing is him, is he that gives that definition to me. So one would say, and after some time, then I began now to see some perspective. I look like I've advanced into my life academically, spiritually, like with relation base. I've come to realize that life is not only what I saw before. And many a time, like when, when somebody's working in a hospital, you see like, you see the place where people are dying, where people are having kids with cancer, and where then the things, and when you look, you see how fortunate you are, because the person who's having a child without special needs, we don't know how long we are going to have those child. In my case, I had Shadrach, where I was given the opportunity to be with him only 4 weeks. Other people can be 40 years. Other people can be 60 years. Other people can be, so the things like, as long as the person thinks like, okay, this happened, it's because I'm cursed. This happened, it's because of that. Then, so my advice to our parents, because the thing is like, when you look on the brain, many things can go wrong in the brain. Many things. And I am not talking. And when I was studying neuroscience, I've realized this. Christopher, the trauma which our parents had, that is being transferred genetically into generation. But then one also realized like, okay, why is it like Afro-American are acting the way they're acting, loud, violent, and stuff like that? The things like sometimes you don't find like good definition why they're acting like that. But the things like, when you like, we are coming from places where the war, where corruption, where there's inequality, and we have experienced some things, and those things are latent into our brain. And because you cannot see something and stay the same into the brain, because some part of your brain is going to shut down and some part is going to be activated. So that one can be passed through. So meaning like, when I look, okay, look here in Norway, the frequency of people having children with hyperactivity. Look at the frequency with foreigners coming to Norway being bipolar and depressed. So those things are real, but people need to speak about it. And many a time you hear people like, you know what, they are going to make your child sick. They're going to treat you and the child, they're just going to make your child sick and stuff like that. Instead of coming out, and as you say, that if people are going to be connected, because Other people are in the medical field where they can help with advice. Other people are into the social institution where they can help with the right that the person had and stuff like that. But as long as the person hides the child, and many places you just see like, okay, the child is just into the house and the child is not going out. And if that is the case, then we are not going to advance. For us, we realize that, you know what, we are going to make our child the best child with special need.
Yeah.
We are going to do all for him to be the best with the need that he has got. So if for me, it's just like go be open. Yes, there are going to be people who are going to laugh, we're going to mock, we're going to say, where is your God? Why can't you pray? How can you pray for others? Where your house like that? Yeah. Take it and just feel like, okay, whom else could God give this? I look into my family, I look at my brother, and I like, God, I thank you that this is, I'm sorry for being proud, but God, thank you for trusting me with this. Because then it is not a burden, it's a blessing. Like, my child does not have audible like speech, but sometimes when you come, and many a time when things really, 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 really are hard, and you see him smiling, and it changed the whole day.
Yeah.
It changed the whole day. And into my case for my child, I see how many people, and I was talking to my wife the last time, like, oh my good God, you know what? I love to be discreet. I don't want to appear everywhere. But with my child, I have greeted a lot of people, like nurses, doctors, and like my child is open, broaden my relationship with people because, yeah, you do have this doctor, you do have this one, you do have this one, you do have this one. And many people were also blessed with his life, like with work, with something to do. And yeah,
Yeah.
so for me, it's like speak out. Don't keep your child. And these are the things that make people to be in depression, people to be in a place where people don't feel, they're just like, you know what? It's because of me. What did you drink when you were pregnant? Why did you go to the gym when you were pregnant? So all those things, though people don't verbalize it, it's great to assure that, you know what, this is not yours, this is not mine. God has given this child. He knows the reason why he's given
Yeah.
the child.
Yeah. Oh man, that's amazing. And I also add to it as a believer too that looking at the broader perspective of it. Earlier I mentioned there are certain things I will get to see understand within this lifetime, and some I won't. And we can only see within our lifetime. He has a broader perspective of things that is generational, and we may not have a clue of why, and that's fine. I do not have to have the answer to why. Like you said, I'm just thankful that I get to be that parent, to bring him up, to experience him in the fullest, you know. So, but listen, Simon, this could go on and on, but we unfortunately have to end here. I really, really want to extend my thanks and appreciation to you and to Elizabeth. Of course, I'm sure you had to talk to her before you did this, and just being open and free to be able to share here. I'm really, really honored that you were able to show up.
Yeah, thank you. I'm the one that is really honored to have this platform to talk. I mean, this the thing that helped me also to bring up the issue, and that not just to be like, oh, where is Simon? Simon is in Trondheim, hiding in Trondheim. Like, you know what? Things happen, and I don't want to be part of Oslo. I need to hide myself in a place. And like that is not the things. The things that I'm proud. I'm proud to be trusted with um, uh, such a durable gift
Yeah.
that that
Yeah.
that that that
Valuable.
God,
Yeah.
yeah, that God has given me. And for me, I think that it's a privilege.
Yeah.
uh, it's really a privilege. It's really a privilege because when I look at the smile, when I look like many times like things can be very very bad at work, and I come and it's just that smile.
Yeah.
It's just that smile that arise everything. So, and I'm sorry, I'm sorry to go on.
We got
Last
2 minutes so before
yeah,
this goes off.
yeah. Last week I was like, okay, I could. What am I supposed to do? Because my child just get excited. Small things,
Yeah.
small things, and then you see also another perspective of life also.
Yeah. Awesome. Really wonderful. Simon, express my gratitude and greetings to your wife and to Mishak. And I hope you have a wonderful evening. Thank you again. We will talk
Thank
soon.
you.
Yeah.